even like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, right?
Right.
I'm one of the first like 500,000 users on Twitter, right? Like if you pull up your Twitter account, I forget where you can see it at, but you can actually see your user ID.
Yeah.
And now there's like, 200 million, whatever users. I'm literally in the first 500,000, right? That's how early I was on Twitter. And so I remember like tweeting stuff and my, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, like, who cares that you're eating pizza? Who cares that you're watching UFC? Like, what are you talking about? Like, the vlogs are the same thing. If I pull the camera out, my brother-in-law would flip me off, right? Or he would specifically say something knowing that I couldn't use it because he didn't want to be on camera.
Right.
And then funny enough, years later, he ends up starting his own channel and they have a successful YouTube channel as well. So it's always funny about that. I give him shit about that.
Welcome to Tarducks, a podcast for content creators to come on to share their stories, experiences, and advice. And I am super excited to have an OG vlogger, content creator, Clintus. Welcome to Tarducks.
How's it going?
Nice to meet you. So happy you're on.
Nice to meet you. It's a long time coming. We've been talking for weeks. And I'm glad we finally got our schedules lined up and we're here and ready to rock and roll.
I'm excited. So what we normally do is we start things off with 3 rapid questions just to get the juices flowing. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. When is it okay to play Christmas music?
After Thanksgiving.
Okay. So you can sit with anybody in the world, past or present, and have a conversation with them. Who are you picking?
Kevin Smith.
Okay.
The writer, director.
Yeah. So, and finally, best thing about living in Arizona?
Personally, I love the smell after rain, which we don't get very often, but when we do, it is my favorite. That's probably my favorite thing about Arizona, so I guess that's kind of weird because it's like it only happens a couple times a year, but when it does, it's like the best.
Oh,
that desert smell. There's a specific plant here that's native called the creosote bush. Mm-hmm. Really tiny leaves. It gets yellow flowers in the spring. In like the hottest parts of the year, most of the leaves will fall off. It looks like a stick bush. But it secretes this like oil, and that is actually what gives it that desert smell when it rains. The water hits that oil, and it's. I wish I could bottle it up. I love the smell of it so much.
Cool. All right. So I've discovered you. I think you started to come. I don't know how long ago you started playing Tarkov, but you started showing up in other people's streams and whatnot and Twitter. And it's like, oh, cool. Who's this guy? All right, let's get him on. And it's like, then I looked. It's like, holy crap, he's vlogging from 10 years at least. It's like, oh, I bet he has a great story to tell. So I'm so happy you're here. And then I saw a tweet where you did something with Taheen and watermelon. I was like, oh, that's a crazy concept.
Yeah. I born and raised here in Phoenix, Arizona. A lot of Mexican food, a lot of Southwest, vibes when it comes to food and culture. And in fact, I worked in a Mexican food restaurant most of my young life, and so my dad worked in a produce company and always had fresh vegetables. And so I like spicy food. I love chilies and limes and that whole that aesthetic. Even though my favorite food is Asian. I love all like Asian food, whether it be Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Thai, Vietnamese, like I love it all. That's my favorite food. But again, being born and raised here, we eat a lot of Mexican food.
Now, being in Arizona, I can't imagine, do you really get a lot of good, fresh seafood out there, or do you have to go to the coast to get that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's relative to, if you're born on the coast and then you come to like, inland, I'm sure you can tell the difference between, fresh and good and this and that. Yeah. But I mean, I know with like sushi and stuff like that, I've heard, and I don't know this 100%, but I've heard like frozen is actually okay. Frozen is actually tastes better than fresh from the sea because something about like, the freezing process and then the thawing. I don't know. So I don't know how that is. But so we have got some fantastic restaurants and fantastic chefs here. In fact, my buddy's birthday just like a month or two ago, we went to a little Japanese place and they had a very special I don't know if he's famous, but a named chef that came in and they had an omakase menu where he picked everything, and it was just and so we have that kind of stuff here, but I'm sure it's few and far between. So I'd imagine nowadays in 2022, you can get fresh stuff delivered and shipped anywhere, you know?
That's so true. Cool. All right. So you're a vlogger, you're a content creator, two different things altogether. What is your background? So you grew up in Arizona. You know, what was growing up in Arizona like, you know, up until you got to high school or finished high school, I guess?
Same as it is now, hot, dry. It's everyone right now is going. There's like an extreme heat wave going across like Europe and other parts of the world, and it's like everyone's posting their screenshots of their weather and their car, you know, dashboard thermometers, and I'm like, that's every day here in Arizona. You know, we it's honestly though, like we have what's called snowbirds. You know, when the weather starts to get nice, people from like the Midwest and the North come here for the winters because we have such amazing winters.
Yeah.
In Phoenix metropolitan, you know, there's no snow. You want to get snow, you 2 miles north to Flagstaff, Prescott, Payson. You get all the snow you want. You go even further to like the Grand Canyon, and it gets cold here for sure. That's the best part is that you can be in the valley. Metropolitan area, all the culture, you know, we've got some theme parks and some water parks and stuff like that. You go 2 miles north in you know 3 or 4 different directions, and you can hit the pine trees, you get the cooler temperatures, and you know there's all these other little towns and cities. Flagstaff's a very big town. You know, there's NAU up there, it's a D1 college. So it's not too small, but there's a lot of small little towns up there. But no, being down here, you know, it's crazy because we are in a valley. We're surrounded by mountains. But you know, it's still far enough spread out that Phoenix is very sprawled out. And over the last 40 years of my life, seeing the city and the housing just continue to push out to every mountain. Right? It used to be very much the middle. And you'd have to drive, and you drive across farmland, a lot of farmland here. And to get to the next like big city, right? Whereas now everything's just connected. You could be driving down the road and not realize, you know, you're from Phoenix. Now you're in Glendale. Then you're in Peoria. Now you're back into Phoenix because Phoenix kind of does this weird like sprawl thing and city, and you don't even realize you've switched cities because it's just all connected. I know when I've traveled across like, you know, Texas and New Mexico, there's big gaps between cities, right? Where literally it's just fields and mountains or whatever. So I mean, grew up riding dirt bikes. You know, my dad raced dirt bikes. In fact, he still does. At 65, he still races in the vet class. So ride dirt bikes. Didn't really do a lot of camping or even like water sports, even though you think here in Arizona, water sports are a big deal. We've got lakes and stuff like that. Went out with friends and played and stuff, but never really got into it. Dirt bikes was our thing. So
cool.
Grew up riding those and racing those. And so a lot of desert activities.
Cool. Well, I know what you mean by snowbirds because I'm from Canada originally. So my in-laws are snowbirds. They go from Ontario down to Florida every winter, and it's so you probably get an influx of Canadians and whatnot. You know, people from Minnesota come down and take over some of your little towns. Oh yeah.
Well, we have a lot of retirement communities here. You know, 55 plus, and I know I used to work in one outside of college, and it was like in the summer, it was dead. Like there was just nobody around. In the winter, golf carts everywhere. The restaurants were booming because they had all these people. They had two homes, right? These are people who had a summer home and a winter home. So very much that.
Oh, cool. So when did you start playing video games? When did that all start?
I mean, I'm one of those kids that have been playing video games their whole life. You know, started with an Atari, Nintendo, NES original. We got for Christmas. I have two younger brothers, so I was the oldest. So it was mine, right? Because they were too young to really know and appreciate it and play it. But I've been playing video games pretty much my whole life. Got into high school and kind of it was a summer thing. Like when it was summertime, I was playing video games. In school, not so much. I was hanging out with friends or doing whatever. And then I didn't get my first PC until I was in like senior year in high school. My dad, I wanted a car, but I also wanted a PC, and he goes, one or the other. I'll either give you the money for the car, or I'll give you the money for the PC. And it was hard because I really wanted that car, and I was a senior, and it was all, you know, I wanted my own car. I wanted to drive my parents, you know, beaters and stuff. But I had that thought of like, well, I technically still have a car because I'm driving my parents' vehicles. I don't have a computer. I'll take the computer. So my parents bought a PC for the family, right?
Yeah.
But it was, again, mine being the oldest.
Yes.
And I started playing StarCraft. That was my first like PC game.
Yeah.
Prior to that, my friends all had PCs, and this is back when, Windows 95, where you had to like do the DOS command prompt to load the CDs, right?
Yeah.
And so I played Command and Conquer, I played Doom and Wolfenstein, right? But my first PC game was StarCraft, and then, in fact, best summer of my life to this day was the summer I graduated high school. I was working in that Mexican restaurant that I mentioned, and I had a girlfriend, my wife now. We're high school sweethearts, so we've been together since then. Here's my schedule, right? So I'm just going to start it off with, I woke up around 10 o'clock, noon, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
Wake up, eat some lunch, go to work at 4. I would work from 4 to 10 or 4 to 11, depending on what night of the week it was.
Yeah.
I would go to my girlfriend's house, hang out with her for about an hour until she went to bed, come back home. Everybody in my house is asleep, right?
Yeah.
Fire up the PC, and I would play multiplayer StarCraft for anywhere till like 1 a.m. or so.
Yeah.
Go to Waffle House because they're open 24/7. Get myself a double order of hash browns, scattered, smothered, covered, diced, and peppered. Eat that. Come back and play StarCraft until my dad's alarm clock went off at like 5 a.m. Sun was up. I'd be playing StarCraft. I'd hear his alarm clock. Now I know my dad, Mr. Snooze the clock, right? He snoozed it 3 times. But the first alarm was my time to go to bed.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I went to bed, and then, like I said, I'd wake up at around noon again and start do it all over again. That was my summer for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I started college. My college was year round, so it was a private college, and so I went to school at the end of like June 20 something was when I started college. That little 6 weeks, man, was like the best summer of my life, because it was like I was on my own time. I didn't have any restrictions. I went to work, made my money, went to my girlfriend's house, video games, whatever. It was awesome.
And Waffle House. And as we get older, I just turned 50 or 40. The metabolism couldn't handle that these days, Night after night of Waffle House. No.
Exactly.
So looking back on your years of playing video games, what really stands out as a couple of your top favorite games?
The funny thing is, even though I've been gaming my entire life, I feel like I never got into these big franchises, right?
Yeah.
Like I never got into Final Fantasy. I never got into Halo. I never got into there's so many games and types of games that I never got into. Assassin's Creed, Skyrims, and it was very simple. Like, as a kid, it was Nintendo, Sega, Super Nintendo. I got a GameCube, or I'm sorry, what was that called? The Dreamcast, the Sega Dreamcast.
Oh, yeah.
The Nintendo 64, and then high school kind of got out of it. 64 was the only thing I played. Got my PC, and I was all about first-person shooters. So when I went to college, I bought my own PC. I financed and got my own PC from Dell, and I fell in love with Counter-Strike.
Okay.
And so I started playing Counter-Strike, the original 1.6, beta, and played that, Day of Defeat, a couple other mods, played Tribes 2. It was all about the online multiplayer because I found that genre and I loved it. And so all I played was first-person shooters online. I didn't play anything else. I'd get a new one and play the campaign, like Half-Life 2, play that campaign. Medal of Honor, play that campaign. But that was about it. And then my senior year in college, a friend of mine introduced me to EVE Online.
Yep.
And EVE Online had just launched. It was this new MMO. Dabbled with that and absolutely fell in love with that. Again, it's online. Yeah. There's some PvP, there's multiplayer, but it was like this new type of game where it's like, okay, wait, I can do all of these things to make my ship and my character better for PvP. And that was my first taste of like it's an MMO, but it was my first taste of like that, like, I don't know, like RPG where like you're building up a character.
Right.
And PC took a crap, burned out, and had my first kid. So it was one of those like, well, I guess my gaming days are over, right? And I stopped gaming for a while there until my wife decided to say, hey, we can get a console. And we were supposed to get an Xbox. Yeah. But every game she looked at, like she was looking at all the games at the game store, and nothing really appealed to her.
Oh no,
she kept
your wife was a gamer too?
Well, she like played Nintendo. Like that was her
Yeah.
thing, right? She played Nintendo.
Oh, cool.
But the thing was, is like that's the problem is she was looking at all the Xbox titles and nothing really grabbed her. She kept
Right.
looking at the Nintendo games. So we ended up getting a GameCube
Yeah.
instead of the Xbox, and we got like Mario Kart and the typical
Yeah.
Nintendo games. And she fell out of it within a week or two. Like it was just over. And I'm like, why did we buy this GameCube if you don't even. And so I ended up getting Metroid Prime, which was like the first person shooter on GameCube. And I loved that because the same thing. It had that like RPG element of like, go do this thing, unlock this weapon, unlock this world.
Yeah.
I loved it. And shortly after that, I don't remember the exact timeline, but I reached out to my friends on Facebook and was like, all right, guys, I'm ready to get a console. I'm ready to get back into gaming. What are you guys on? What are you guys playing? What console you're on? I had like two friends that said Xbox, and then I had unanimously everyone said PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
And they're all playing Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, let me look into this. And then I realized, oh, there's online play now. So I grabbed a PlayStation, grabbed a Call of Duty, and that night I was online playing with like 4 of my friends, just like the old days in college. I was like, this is awesome. And that was like my jump back into gaming.
Oh, nice.
And like every night after work, weekends, like I was up again till like 2 or 3 in the morning playing, Call of Duty multiplayer with my brother-in-law, some friends, made some new friends, joined a clan.
Oh, nice.
And for years, that's all I did was all I played was Call of Duty multiplayer. Even after having PlayStation for so long, that's all I played until I started getting into like content creation. I had been doing the vlogs and was gaming on the side, but I was like, oh, I should have a gaming channel, right? So I started making like gameplays and did a little Minecraft, did a little GTA because it was what was popular on YouTube.
Yeah.
And played some games with my kids.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got back into gaming.
Oh, cool.
There was like this hiatus and this break. My PC took a crap and I didn't have a console. And so that's how I kind of like got back into gaming.
Yeah. Oh, very awesome. Now, gaming with when the kids got of age to play games, that's a neat experience. So I've got 3 kids, and my experience with the kids was like 6 or 7. My youngest was, or my oldest. We started Star Wars Lego. And then, graduate as they got a little older, mouse and keyboard was, they were able to use that. So then we jumped to Minecraft. And Minecraft ran through the house for about 10 years, at least. And till this day, my 19-year-old still, I'll catch him and his buddies. They'll just dabble back to Minecraft occasionally. And it's such a cool experience to see them grow and gravitate to games like Dad did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My kids are, my daughter's 17, my son's 15. Minecraft was definitely one of the early games they enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
When I started this whole journey, it was I was gaming for the streams, or I'm sorry, for the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And then I got a PlayStation 4 when Destiny came out.
Yeah.
And that was the first game that took me away from Call of Duty on my own personal, like, I want to play video games. This is what I'm going to play. And that's what it was. It was Destiny. And nice. So my son played a little bit with me. When he got his PlayStation, he ended up getting a copy of Destiny. He played a little bit with me there. Yeah. My daughter played Minecraft by herself.
Yeah.
But even then, when they were that little, they weren't really into gaming. Like today, iPads and iPhones, it's so easy to get into gaming. The Switch.
Yeah.
Game Boy was a thing, but not really. I wasn't a game. I've never really been a big mobile gamer. Mm-hmm. I don't own a Switch. My wife has a Switch that she never uses. She hasn't changed. She's still like what's that called? Like I won't even call her a part-time gamer. She's like a sometimes gamer, right? Yeah. Every 6 months she pulls out the Switch and she's like, oh, video games. My daughter's very much like that. She has my old PlayStation, my original white PlayStation that I had from when Destiny launched. And, she'll turn that thing on like once every 3 months, play for like a week straight. Like, in fact, right now my kids are playing, either Dead by Daylight or Fortnite together.
Yeah.
And it's like, then she gets out of it. Like, she plays it hard for like a week or 2 and then she gets out of it.
Yeah.
And, whereas my son definitely followed my footsteps and he's a gamer. He's all in games.
Oh, cool. So back to college. So you went to college. What'd you go to college for? You said computer animation?
Originally went for computer animation, 3D modeling, 3D animation. I learned Maya, which is a industry standard, 3D rendering modeling. Yeah. Did about 2 years of that, and then mid sophomore junior year, they hired this new instructor, and he launched a whole new video production major.
Yeah.
And I did video production and yearbook back in high school. So I was in photography and video, and I loved editing video. I loved editing video to music. Like I loved making like music video style.
Yeah.
I made movie trailers for made up movies just because like I wanted to edit video to music. But when he started that program, I shifted gears. I took the entry level class, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because I never really latched on to the 3D modeling. I'm not very creative. Even to this day, I'm not very original when it comes to ideas. I see someone else do something and I'm like, I can do that. Or I can do a flavor of a version of that. Right.
Or I can improve that
Exactly. And so when I was doing the modeling, it was like, hey, make a turtle out of a box. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Like how? And they're like, well, here, let me show you. Then they'd show you how to do it. And you're like, oh, wow, it's possible. And then I'm trying to do it. I'm like, I don't understand how this works.
Yeah.
And so I shifted from modeling to animation. So then it was like, give me your model, I'll animate it.
Yeah.
And even when I did that, I was like, it's too pins and needles, like crochet, like it's too fine for me. And I'm like, I need big brush strokes, right?
Right.
So video just called to me because it was like, you shoot, you slap it in the timeline, you chop, you move things around, you add some music, you get the timing just right. That was more my style and my vibe.
Yeah.
So I switched my major. And I ended up graduating with a Bachelor of Arts in Multimedia. And that's so video production. I wanted to make movies, right? My dream job was to make movie trailers. Because again, I liked editing music editing video to music, right? Or making music videos, right? And I took the whole game. The only thing I didn't do was sound. Sound was the only thing I didn't learn in college. Never took the class. I had enough credits. I didn't need it.
Yeah.
But video, like director of photography and color and editing were my three things.
Yeah.
And so when I graduated, I right away got a internship on a set of a movie.
Yeah.
And I worked on a movie set like right after college. And then shortly after that, I worked on another set. And I just I was like, this is it. Things are moving along. We're getting there. It was short-lived though, because while I was doing this and pursuing a career, like I said earlier, my wife and I were together, high school sweethearts. We had just bought a house.
Yeah.
We built a brand new house out in the outskirts of like I said, the towns were growing, right?
Yeah.
So we were out in the sticks, so to speak, back then. And we were engaged. We were planning our wedding, and so graduated college. And in fact, the last month when I said I was graduating is when I told my wife, it's like, okay, we got the house, we got the wedding around the corner. I was like, I guess, my wife wanted to be a mom, right?
Yep.
We asked her in high school what she wants to be when she grows up. The only thing she could say with certainty was, I want to be a mom. I just want to be a mom. I want to have kids. That was her dream thing, right?
Yeah.
And so my wife and I both, our parents had kids young, and they're still together. And so it was one of those things where in our minds, we're going to have our kids young as well, in our 20s. And, that way we have our 40s to do our own things. Just like, again, just looking at our parents' blueprint, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I told her, I was like, yeah, well, maybe we can start trying for a kid. I'm thinking that's going to take a while, no big deal. First month of trying, we get pregnant. Last day of school, my last day of college, I'm just, moseying around. It's my last day, saying bye to people, hanging out in the cafeteria, the cafe. She calls me. She's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just, hanging around. She's like, well, come home. I got a surprise for you.
Oh, boy.
I'm thinking she just painted the bathroom or something, right? Because she's all excited about decorating the house. I get home and there's a pregnancy test. We're pregnant. We got our, first kid.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how, we bought the house, we got married, graduated college, had a kid. Like we had that fairy tale storybook, And so I'm sitting here trying to make movies and doing this industry where I have friends that are literally hopping into one car, like 4 people in one car, going to LA and couch surfing while they work on the set of this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm over here going like, I got a wife and a kid and a mortgage. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. And that's when it really hit me. It was like, shit. Like now I understand, why some people wait to have kids in their 30s or whatever. Because you're figuring your life out and you're figuring out your career. And I want to be a dad, and my wife wants to be a mom. Let's do that. And it's like, well, I guess that career is going to be put on hold. So it was hard. It was rough. You know,
Yeah.
I had some friends that found success. They're very successful today in Hollywood in the industry. We bought our house, and this was like 2007. Well, actually, no, it was earlier than that. Shit, 2004, 2005 maybe. I was working for a studio in Scottsdale, and they ended up closing up shop after 3 months. They still owed me for like a month's worth of pay. They were just like, "This ain't working out. We're out. We're going to cut our losses." And I had two guys I was working with, and they kind of pitched me this idea like, "Hey, we're going to keep working, doing movies. We're self-sufficient. We're reliant. If you can find a way to take care of you and your family, we'd love to keep working with you." And we had the crazy idea of taking a second mortgage out on our house.
Yeah.
Because the house market was crazy. We were overvalued on our house. And we lived off of that while we made these movies.
Oh, shoot.
And for a year, it was just like hustle mode, right? I was on the set of this movie. I was working on editing this movie. And I flew to Texas to do this and that and Hollywood. And it didn't work out. A year later, these guys are like, "All right, well, we're done with Phoenix. We're going to go to Texas, and there's some work out there. We want you to come with us." Same thing. I'm like, "Well, I got a mortgage that I'm upside down on, and I got cars and I got kids." And I'm like, "No, peace out."
Yeah.
So went back to the 9 to 5 and had my second kid. And right around 2006, so he was. I started the YouTube channel. In fact, actually, I just got the notification that my channel is 16 years old.
Holy
as of
cow.
2 weeks ago. I started the YouTube channel originally to post like my movie trailers and my work that I was working on. But I started doing like these like video blogs, right?
Yeah.
And I saw these other people doing these video blogs, and it wasn't just like TV shows and commercial stuff. It was like literally talking like this to a camera.
Yeah.
And the first video blog I ever saw was this guy walking around his backyard with his laptop. Walking around with his laptop like it's a webcam and just vlogging with his laptop. And I watched this for like 30 minutes and I was like, I can do this. Like, again, going back to like being inspired by others. And so I literally set up first it was a webcam. Then I bought a Sony like mini DV handy cam and put it on a tripod. And that's how I started vlogging. And at first it was like topical stuff, right? Like Firefox just came out with a new version and let's compare it to Internet Explorer. Or, hey, I just went to my friend's house and watched UFC 22. Here's my review. And I had a blog and I posted those on the blog and this whatnot. But when I did an update about my second kid, hey, I'm pregnant with our second kid and it's a boy, that got way more traction and way more engagement. And it made me realize maybe people care more about my personal life than my like business life. Yeah. Or like my movie stuff. And so I started doing more life updates, and that's when like my YouTube channel started to kind of like slowly creep a little bit. I started getting a little more traction, and that's when YouTube started kind of like doing its thing too. Like the partner program came out like 2008, 2009, and I had friends from other platforms starting to do really good on YouTube, moving to LA, moving to Santa Monica, and that was the birth of like the YouTube vloggers, and eventually became the YouTubers. So that's kind of how that whole scene kind of started.
Yeah, because I looking back, it's like my daughters were watching, like, and I would make fun of, what's your family doing today type thing, because every day they're watching. Oh yeah, they're going here. It's like, and then I looked like, oh my God, Clintus was those families. That was the vlog. It's like, oh my God, it's like the early days. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I was just doing like random vlogs around like birthday parties, vacations, anything that was of note, right? And I tried different styles. Sometimes I would just do a one take, literally like 2 or 3 minutes, one take, and upload it. Other times I was doing like more creative, like me never on camera. It was always like, in fact, I used this for a while. I was using my iPhone when the HD came to the iPhone. Yeah. And I would do these, what were they called? Swipe vlogs or something like that, where you'd start recording like looking down and you'd swipe up for like 5 seconds, and then you swipe up again, and it ended up being like, remember those like discs, those red things, and you look in the disc. Yeah. So it ended up being like that, where it was like video. Video. So imagine like TikTok swiping now. Yeah. I was doing that back in 2010 with my iPhone, and so Christmas 2011, I got my kids dirt bikes for Christmas, and my kids were 4 and 6. and I wheel the dirt bikes out. It's literally shot with my iPhone. My wife shot it with me. We go to her parents' house for the rest of Christmas. The video is like 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
But in March of 2012, so just like 3 months later, all of a sudden this video starts to gain traction. I'm looking at my analytics. I'm like, whoa, where are all these views coming from? And I'm looking, it's like, oh, it's this Christmas video. Like, what the hell? And then I realize it's the Christmas video getting the dirt bikes for Christmas. And then it's the first time the kids are riding dirt bikes. And then it's the first time my daughter rides without me. And it just keeps, like, the videos keep going, right? And the views, and people are skipping and watching 6-7 videos at a time. And this was March. And around that time, I'm getting really into like watching vloggers and other YouTubers. And I'm starting to meet people. And this daily life vlog genre kind of starts to become a thing. Yeah. And there were 2 channels that kind of started the trend. One is the first like vlogger family. They're known as the Shaytards. Okay. And then there's CTFXC, which was this couple, Charles and Allie, that started daily life vlogging their lives. Now, both of these guys had successful YouTube channels doing like skits and comedy and stuff like that. Yeah. These separate channels were created specifically to document their life. Yeah. So I'd been watching these and I'm like, okay, well, this is a family with kids and that's working. And then this is a couple with no kids, but just more like the adult stuff and it's working. I'm like, again, I can do this, right? Yeah. So April of 2012, I gave myself a 30-day challenge to vlog every day for 30 days and see how it goes. Sure enough, I start vlogging, and this is when that video is still doing really well. And now I'm putting up a new video every day, and it's more of like a personal life. Kids are involved, this and that. Right, yeah. And the channel just went, and next thing I know, it's just like every video I put out is getting a little more views. I'm getting more subs. Yeah. I got into the partner program, so I'm actually starting to make a little bit of money. Yeah. But I always like to tell this story because kids come to my channel every day asking me how they get started, what advice do they have, blah, blah, blah. It took me 6 years to get my first $100 check from YouTube, from Google. Yeah. Think about that. Today, there's millions of people trying to be a content creator, YouTube, Twitch, whatever. This was back in 2000, like I said, 12, 13, 6 years to get that first check. Because that took how long to get that the pennies to add up to $100. Yeah. And doing the daily vlogs for 30 days, I was like, this is easy. I can do this. I made it. I got it a routine. Got it all going. I'm gonna keep going. So we went past the 30 days and we kept going. The channel was growing, and I got what do you call it? I got hit up by an MCN, which is a multi-channel network. This is something new that was popping up back then. Yeah. And we signed a deal with them. They gave me some brand deals and they gave me some cool tools to use. And the channel just continued to grow. And 2 years of doing the daily vlogs, the channel had grown exponentially to the point where my YouTube checks were as much as my work checks. And so it only took 2 years of that growth. But again, it was 8 years, total of the channel being alive. Yeah. So 2014, the end of 2014. So it's technically the 2015. It's been 7 years. Yeah. Of doing this full time content creation. Yeah.
And now today it's tough to explain people who don't understand Twitch and YouTube. Back then, you're right on the cusp of it. What were your friends and your family like? Can you just leave the camera at home one time? What was that like?
Yeah, that whole experience was funny. So with the vlogs, I didn't really vlog anyone else for the most part. It was just me and the kids, because even my wife didn't want to be on camera. It took her years before she picked up the camera. I'd be at work. I'm like, hey, I just need you to get a couple clips of the kids. You're taking the kids to the pool. Cool. Just get a couple clips of the kids having fun, right? Capture some moments. Give me some video. But yeah, even Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, right? I'm one of the first 500,000 users on Twitter, right? Like if you pull up your Twitter account, I forget where you can see it at, but you can actually see your user ID. Yeah. And now there's 200 million, whatever users. I'm literally in the first 500,000, right? That's how early I was on Twitter. And so I remember tweeting stuff and my, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, who cares that you're eating pizza? Who cares that you're watching UFC? What are you talking about? The vlogs are the same thing. If I pull the camera out, my brother-in-law would flip me off. right? Or he would
Yeah.
specifically say something knowing that I couldn't use it because he didn't want to be on camera.
Right.
And then funny enough, years later, he ends up starting his own channel, and they have a successful YouTube channel as well. So it's always funny about that. I give him shit about that. But yeah, no, it was very much that, very much. And to be honest too, like, again, not very much in public. If it was always around the kids, because then it looked like a dad just taking video or photos of his kids, right?
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't until I became close to a full-time YouTuber and going to conferences and it's becoming a thing where there are YouTubers, that I felt confident enough to do it in public. Because then it was like people would look at me and then be like, "Wait a minute, is he one of those YouTubers?" Like, you know what I'm saying? And there was a while there where it was that when I'd be walking around like, "Are you a YouTuber? What's your channel?" Like, you know, because it was this hot new thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Nowadays, I see people vlogging and TikToking everywhere. Like, and now it's normal. But yeah, back then, man, it was definitely like a. Yeah, even now, my wife, all these years, she's still not a very social person. She doesn't post anything. She doesn't write anything. She doesn't tweet, Instagram, Facebook. She doesn't do any of that. Yeah. So it's always been funny how different we are, polar opposites we are in all things.
Yeah. Now, did you hit a moment where you're like, shit, this is it. I can do this full time. I don't need to worry about, you know, was there a certain moment, or was it just gradual, the increase and whatnot?
Seeing my friends and hearing success stories of people, you know, making it and quitting their jobs and making the big announcement videos. I quit my job and everything. I knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time where my numbers. I could look at my last, 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, to say the trend is going this way. So if things keep going the way they're going, I will make more money doing YouTube than I did at my job.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. We got to the point where the checks were coming in about the same size. 1 month would be bigger, next month would be a little less. Paid off all our debt. Literally, the only thing we had left was our house payment. Yeah. And I said, I quit my job to do the movies when I was 23. Yeah. Here I are 10 years later, ready to quit my job again to do this YouTube thing. My wife was worried. My wife was hesitant because we already quit. I tried it 10 years prior and it failed and we were in debt. And I said, that was 23-year-old Clint trying to figure shit out. Yeah. This is 33-year-old Clint knowing what he's doing. Yeah. And I've got numbers and I got history. And looking back, I will say I kind of wish I would have waited maybe like 3 more months just to have more of a savings. Yeah. Because in my mind, I was like, well, things aren't going to get worse. Like even if they plateau, we're right where we were at before. It's fine, right? But no, we're not going to plateau. We're going to keep growing, right? We're just this thing's rocket taking off. Yeah. And it did. I quit my job, went full time, put more time and energy into the YouTube, I got to travel more, do stuff. I told my subscribers, because again, back, growing the channel, dirt bikes were still a major thing on the channel. I said, if we hit 100,000 subscribers, I will buy a new dirt bike. And it took I quit my job in December, and April is when we hit 100,000 subscribers. And I went out and bought a dirt bike. We built it up. We were getting closer in the 95,000 range. I was like, all right, guys, this is the dirt bike. We hit 100,000, And sure enough, we hit 100,000 and I went and bought that dirt bike and started riding and got the kids new dirt bikes. And we tried to like really make the thing. The kids never really got into dirt bike riding, so it never really stuck for them. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the channel continued to grow. The views, the subscribers, and the money continued to grow. And it just got to the point where it was like, this is crazy how much money I can make doing this. I love it. I went to school for it. I'm technically using my degree. I love this. So in my mind, it was just going to continue to keep going. Yeah. And we had 3 amazing years, and then YouTube changed the algorithm, and YouTube changed the way the videos were displayed and how you as a viewer were served videos. Okay. And when they made that change, that is when the rocket ran out of fuel. Oh no. And so we went, like I said, we shot into the stratosphere and hit some incredible numbers, and all of a sudden it plateaued. Yeah. And then it started going down, and I was like, okay. And I hired somebody, I had them look at my channel, break it down, try to figure out what was the cause of it, what was going on. Yeah. He kind of gave me some stuff that I kind of already knew, but nothing too crazy. At the end of the day, though, he's like, it's fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Write it out. This and that. Maybe look at changing this or that. It never really came back. It continued to kind of coast down. But this is also when I started dabbling with streaming.
Yeah.
And so YouTube Gaming launched, I think it was 15 or 16. I forget what year it was. And I started getting into streaming. I was going to start streaming on Twitch, but when YouTube Gaming launched, my gaming channel at the time had about 40,000 subscribers. So I was like, 40,000 subscribers or 2,000 followers. I'm like, I'll stream over here.
Yeah.
And so I streamed on YouTube Gaming for a solid 2 years. I was the biggest cheerleader. We had this group of people that were streaming over there. We were like kind of the king of the mountain. We were like the original, like if you think of the original Twitch streamers, right?
Yeah.
The Lyrics, the Co-Carnages, the Timthetatmans, the guys that like kind of started and Summit, all that stuff. We were those guys of the YouTube gaming side, right?
Yeah.
There was obviously already huge successful YouTubers, right? The Minecraft guys, the GTA guys, they were just killing it. But for streaming, we were kind of like the new breed. And for the most part, we all found success. We were all doing really well over there.
Yeah.
It just got to the point where it was very disheartening to see Twitch continue to put out these features and just crushing it. Like, oh, now you got Twitch Prime. If you got Amazon Prime, you get Twitch Prime. It's free subs. And then it was like gifting subs, and like they just kept dropping these amazing features, and we didn't even have emotes.
Right.
And we're like, so we've got it was called a sponsor button. We've got sponsors, but you only get a badge, and it doesn't change. It doesn't get any better over time. You just get one badge, and that's it. Thanks for your support.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I was just like, I was missing something. And Twitch started talking to me at PAX. Yeah. And we ended up working out a deal and a partnership, and I moved over as a partner on Twitch. And so it was 2 years on YouTube Gaming, and I've been a partner now on Twitch for 5 years. Wow. And I love it. I still to this day, it's my favorite thing to do. Yeah. But because I had transitioned to Twitch and I was trying to grow that on the new platform, I kind of stopped vlogging less and less. It went from daily to twice a week to once a week to now I vlog when there's something worth vlogging. Right. Because I stream 40 hours a week. I love streaming. I love gaming. I love having a live chat room and communicating. Yeah. I have an IRL backpack over here on the floor. It's obviously too hot right now in Arizona, but when the weather's nice, my wife and I will do IRL streams. We'll walk around a city or town, explore, because it's like live vlogging, right? And my audience is very much used to that, and so I say that I'm a gamer. I enjoy playing games, like we talked earlier. Though I don't play a wide variety of games. I still kind of very much play just first person shooters for the most part. I do enjoy some survival games, a little MMO here and there, but for the most part, it's first person shooters. And so, but with that being said, I could sit here full screen and just talk to my chat room for 3 to 4 hours and do just chatting streams. Yeah, no problem. Again, when the weather is nice, I do back porch. Nice. I have a hot tub. Did a couple hot tub streams, real hot tub streams. You know, and when I travel, I enjoy live streaming wherever I'm at as well.
Oh, cool. So that's an awesome story. And it's so good that you're doing something that you enjoy. In two phases. First, the vlogging, and then using your skills, your editing, what you learned in college, and now content creation from streaming. Back in the vlogging days, seeing your kids grow up. When they were young, they had really no concept of what you were doing. As they got older, when you went live with the recording button, did they start acting different, or was it the same thing?
For the kids, it was the same, but there was no difference. They didn't know any different. My daughter was 2.5 when I first started vlogging, and my son was literally born on YouTube. Oh, wow. His birth video is still to this day one of the oldest, if not the oldest. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to search and sort. Yeah. But it's but as far as an actual like the night of a kid's birth video, it's 2006. I mean, the platform wasn't even that old. 2005. So for them, they don't know any different. They I mean, even to this day, they're in high school now, and obviously I don't vlog as much as I used to. But like, when they started middle school, high school, I asked, I was like, "Are you guys like?" Are you ever get embarrassed about what I do? Are you ever embarrassed about your dad? Do kids bully you or give you crap at school because you're dad? And they're like, no, the exact opposite. You're the coolest dad. Everyone thinks you're the coolest because you're a YouTuber and a Twitch streamer and, that sort of thing. So I was worried that the years of their life being on YouTube. Because it is, you go back right now, you can literally watch any moment of my kids' lives on YouTube.
But that's kind of cool, though, in an aspect. Like you can go back and, and just they're there. It's really neat.
Absolutely, 100%. But there's also that kids can go find some stuff that, and that's the thing too right now, with cancel culture and stuff like that, you got to be careful because there's a lot of stuff out there. And I've taken some videos and made them private because like there was a video where my daughter, my son's room gets cleaned. My wife helps him clean his room.
Yeah.
Tells my daughter to clean her room. She ends up throwing everything like in the corner and under the bed and kind of hides it all. Like, oh, I clean my. And my wife looks and she's like, oh my God. So she pulls it all out, puts it in the middle of the floor. I'm vlogging and I'm like, oh, let's go look at Bryce's clean room. And she's all excited to show her room, right? She's like, oh, look at my room, Dad. We walk in there and all that crap is in the middle of the floor. And she just she's mortified and she's embarrassed and she starts crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? She's like, and she doesn't know what to say. She's like, where'd all this stuff come from? She's like, I put it under the bed. Oh, so you didn't clean your, we're like this life lesson, but she's bawling and crying. Well, about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, someone found that video. It's, again, at that time, it was like 10 years ago.
Right.
And so they're like, how dare you, mortify your child and embarrass them and make money off of it. And I'm like, yeah, looking back now, I can see where that kind of comes across that way. But at the time, it was a perfect life lesson. Let me teach you how to, raise your kids, whatever. I don't know. It's an instructional video, but it was like real, raw, live. Because there was also that controversy a few years ago where these one parents were like abusing their kids and doing these radical, over the top yelling and screaming and scaring them to get these reactions out of them. And then as soon as the camera went off, apologize and be like, I'm joking, I'm fine. Oh, it came out. It was really bad. It was really nasty. So all the eyes came on the family vloggers.
Yeah.
And poking and prodding, going but mine have always been, I will say confidently, 95% real, raw. I even had a hard time clickbaiting. I wouldn't clickbait because I didn't want to be dishonest and deceitful.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There were some times where I could bend it a little bit. This is real, this is true, but I know it's not what you're thinking. It's like the tabloids where it's Elvis found alive in Vegas holding a baby alien. Yeah. And you're like, what? And you pick up the magazine, you buy it, and then you open it up and you're like, oh, an Elvis impersonator was walking down Las Vegas Boulevard with a stuffed alien baby.
Yeah, right.
They didn't lie to you, but it made you buy the thing. That's what clickbait is, right? So I never was too, I never got dishonest or just truthful. I always wanted to be very upfront and honest. And so even to this day, I put up a new vlog this morning, the comments I get are I appreciate your realism and your honesty. You're not doing stuff over the top. You're not making stuff up. Because unfortunately, that's the thing that kids don't understand is when they see these big YouTubers do these things and they drive these cars and these places, those aren't their things. They're renting them. They're borrowing them. They're working out a deal with somebody to say, hey, if you let me use this car, I'll promote your dealership.
Right.
In fact, there was even a time where two famous YouTube brothers, without saying their names, two famous YouTube brothers who live in LA, literally hired actors to play police and ambulances. They rented an ambulance, rented actors with full-on uniforms, and did a whole thing where he broke his arm or broke his hand, and it looked real. It was all real. And then that night on someone's Instagram showed him without his arm being messed up and everything the date timestamp didn't add up. And it's come to find out later on, it was all acting. It was all made up. But the thing is because YouTube came from a place of genuine vlogging and realism, everyone assumed it was real. And he kind of broke that mold of it doesn't always have to be real. It's entertainment. Right. I can make stuff up and it's just like Hollywood. And that's when the trend of that went off and people started doing is it real? Is it not? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Right. Kind of thing. Yeah. So
and you got the over the top stuff started coming through and
and then it was challenges and doing the challenges and this and that. And, then you got guys like Mr. Beast who just took it to another level and he's seen some amazing success, but of course he uses his money for good. So, you can't knock him. He kills it.
Okay, that's cool. I love that history, man. It's awesome, and your experience. Looking back on it, what are a couple of the highlights from a vlogging standpoint? Over the years, you look back that was a really cool moment.
Definitely that first video that kind of started it all with my kids getting dirt bikes for Christmas. Yeah. But again, just going back over the years to see the kids at such small ages. Yeah. My wife and I just went back up northern Arizona to a place called Pine, Arizona, and there's a national park. It's called the Tonto Natural Bridge.
Yeah.
And it's literally like this rock formation. Water had hollowed it out, and it's just this big landmass that it's literally a bridge, but you can go underneath it.
Oh, cool.
And we went there, and I was like, we took the kids here, I don't know how many years ago. I just pulled up my phone, did a search for Payson Bridge, and there's the video. I'm like, oh yeah, that was 2011. And I showed the video to my wife, and we sat there and watched it. And the kids are tiny, they're little, and even like ourselves, you see our different, people's shapes change, right? Hairstyles and clothes and this and that. And so people ask me all the time, what's my favorite vlog? And I'm like, I don't really have a favorite vlog, because it's like asking me like, what's your favorite memory of your entire life? Right? Yeah. What's your favorite memory of your kid's life? And it's like, well, sure. I mean, this birthday, this vacation, but I vlogged every single day for over 6 years. Yeah. So if you think about that, I've got thousands of days recorded. I don't even remember them all. Yeah. And I don't have to, because they're all documented, right? I see myself someday when my kids are, moved out and old, my wife and I just hitting the couch and turning on the Apple TV and just binge watching our life, right? And going back and watching the last, 20 years. Yeah. I would say that, just off the top of my head, highlights, obviously any of my kids' first time riding a bike, first time riding a dirt bike, first time swimming no floaties. Those are all highlights. Vacations, the first time going to Disneyland. Yeah. Summer vacations where my wife's entire family would get together and we'd get a beach house and go to the beach. And just a lot of those moments are just memories that I can off the top of my head remember, but I know I can go back and watch them anytime. Yeah. Christmas videos are always real awesome, both for the viewers, but also for us. Cause like I record in the early days, you record every single present, right? So every single present they open, oh, cool, this, kids excited about this and that, right? Like they have those moments. Right now, that's probably the only videos my kids watch is when Christmas comes around, they watch all the Christmas videos. When school starts, they watch all the first day of school videos. Yeah. Those are definitely the highlights.
And now, when did the sponsorship start coming in, or, how did that all start?
So when I started doing the daily vlogs, like I said, I joined an MCN, and, they had some small brand deals. I was still a small channel back then. But I met the director of that program, and, and I was an older person. I was an older guy when I started this, right? I was in my 30s. And so I wasn't a kid, not knowing what to do, making more money than I knew what to do with. Right. I was like, no, I'm providing for my family. I got a wife and kids and a mortgage and this and that. And so he respected that. And he's like, okay, I'll tell you what, here's how this works. I get this chunk of money, and I have to give so many views or so many whatever. I give the brand deals to the big guys, so I'm going to hit my quota and my mark. But then I got this extra change sitting behind. He goes, I'll throw you a bone and send you, these small things. So I started making like $50, $100, $200 on these little brand deals, and like that was good for me, right? I was happy with that, right? It was extra cash. Sadly, he left the company, and I lost out on that. But eventually, the program continued to grow, and I got good in with those guys and continued to get those kind of brand deals. Yeah. But really, this was a whole new ecosystem for everybody. Right. And so you started getting agencies that started looking to YouTube for influencers. Oh. And, you start getting the emails and whatnot. And that's kind of how it just kind of just slow. I didn't reach out to anybody. Yeah. In fact, the only company that I reached out to be my first affiliate was GFuel. Yeah. And, my partner manager reached out to them, said, yep, we'll sign you on, got me a code, sent me out some, tubs, started drinking it. And that was like my first affiliate, right, that I had, where it was just like, do a quick promo, 10%, blah, blah. Yeah. And I just recently left them, but it's been 7 years, like I said, 7 years of doing this full time. I've been with them for 7 years. And over the time, it grew to a partnership where I was getting paid monthly. They send me cool swag and cool stuff. And I went on a couple of trips and paid trips and stuff like that. So, it started off with just the affiliate and worked its way into a full-on partnership. Yeah. Oh, cool. And since then, again, 90% of them came to me. 90% of the brand deals came to me via email or now it's all the marketplaces and like, hey, sign your, link your account to our database. And here's all I don't even mess with those anymore. Cause it's like, if you're not watching my content and know for sure that I'm a good fit, I'm not fishing. Right. But again, also, like I said earlier, I've been doing this a long time. So I feel kind of like I'm over certain aspects of the business. Yeah. There's a lot younger, more hungry people out there that will hustle a lot more. Yeah. I definitely value my time and value my attention. of what I plan on doing. And because my viewership is down from what it used to be, even though my channel looks impressive with over 400 million views and 780,000 subscribers, the viewership is, far less because let's be real, people don't unsubscribe most of the time. They just subscribe and then stop watching.
Right.
So obviously the majority of those subscribers are dead, but viewership shifts. And so when I get a brand deal sent to me and I give them my fair rate, they're like, that's it? Okay. I'm happy. They're happy. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
There's no reason to push buttons and see how high I can get it,
Right. Yeah. And now looking back on the vlogging side of things, is there anything you would have changed or done differently besides the 3 months, waiting 3 months, anything else that sticks out that like, I wish I could have, done this or whatnot?
My only, and I won't call it a regret, but the one thing that I think I would have changed a little bit earlier was we were killing it with brand deals. We were getting sometimes 2 or 3 a week. And so we were sometimes backed up where we were like, making these videos. Well, of course, it's a family channel. Kids have to be involved. There was a week where we were on vacation. We came back from vacation. We had to get these videos shot, right?
Yeah.
And in 1 week, we shot at least 2, maybe 3. I can't remember if there was a third or not, but I remember for sure there was 2. And it involved the kids. Kids had to be involved. And so kids would get home from school, and then we would have to like make these videos.
Yeah.
And I remember my son's friend coming over, knocking on the door, asking if he could play. And he's like, "Oh no, sorry, we're busy." And then like 2 days later, come back and say, "No, sorry, we're busy." And that's why I think there's a third video there, because it was either we were shooting the same video for 2 days or there's a third one. The third time, it's like a Friday at this point, he comes over, knocks on the door, and my son says, "Sorry, I can't play. I have to make a video for my dad."
Oh.
And he said that, and that stung.
Oh.
And I was like, he's right. This is my business, my video.
Yeah.
Yes, it's us. Yes, he's getting to play. It was for Hot Wheels, right? It was from Mattel. We were doing this brand new Hot Wheels set, never been released. We're making a video. He's literally playing with a toy that's not out yet. But in his mind, he doesn't care. He wants to go play with his friend.
Right.
And I remember after he said that and we finished that video, that weekend, I sat down with my kids and said, "Look, guys, I'm sorry. I know this week was a lot for you guys. I know it's cool. You got cool toys and whatnot and whatever. And this is daddy's business and work. I will not commit and do any more of these brand deals until I talk to you first and make sure you're 100% on board." Okay. Yeah. And of course, my daughter's like, "Oh, it's fine, Daddy. It's fine." I'm like, no, it's not. You're a sweet little kid. I appreciate you, but I just want you guys to know I am sorry. This is not your job. This is not your work.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing that I wonder, how many of those times did my kids feel that way but never said anything?
Yeah.
And so that day afterwards, if I got a brand deal, even my wife, we'd get brand deals for like moms and my wife is like, I don't want to do that. And I'd have to repitch it to him like, "Hey, sorry, my wife's not really, can we do this a different way where I can be on camera or the kids can be on camera?" Because she does not want to do this by herself.
Yeah.
And sometimes it worked out and sometimes it didn't. Like we did one with Dove, where my wife and my daughter had to go into like a CVS or Walgreens and buy Dove products, right?
Yeah.
And so the first time we shot it, she just was a mess. She was too nervous. She got like hot and sweaty and flashes and I can't do this. When I'm in public, people are watching me. So then we reshot it, and then we had her narrate the whole thing, and it was perfect. It was great. But again, this is my line of work. This is my business. And I'm the Mr. Social Butterfly, love to put myself out there in front of a crowd. Whereas my son at the time was not, and my wife has not been ever.
Yeah.
So that's probably the only thing I would look back and change. That, when my kids were littler, ask for more of their engagement.
Yeah.
I know nowadays that's a big thing. And again, a lot of families got exposed for just, putting their kids through torture for the videos, for the video. So mine never got that bad, but like I said, it got to the point where I had that moment of like, let me get my kids buy-in on these brand deals before I commit to them.
Oh, cool. That's good advice. And the other thing I've seen is your kids, they've turned out, like normal kids, like that whole thing sounds like they're, your daughter's, big into volleyball and your son's going through high school. Is he in high school or not high school yet?
Yep. Yeah. Nope. He just finished his freshman year.
Yeah. So, you were good parents in the end so far.
Yeah. I definitely, I get my wife a pat on the back. I don't necessarily pat myself on the back, but I say all the time that, our kids turned out pretty good. My daughter will be a senior this year. Son will be a sophomore. No major hiccups, issues. my daughter's working. She's got a boyfriend. She plays volleyball almost year round. My son plays basketball almost year round.
Yeah.
Responsible. Yeah, we did a pretty good job. And despite being, on camera their whole lives,
Right.
I think, again, just the way that I did it, the way we did it, we did it real. Like, you go back and watch those videos. That's really our lives. Sure, you might turn the volume a little bit and be like, hey guys, what's up?
Right.
I don't walk into my, hey brother, how's it going? How are you?
Yeah.
You turn it up a little bit. But when the kids are little, man, it's so easy. They get so excited, energized. It's easy to like mimic that energy.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Is that cool? Yeah. It's very much that. As the kids got older, it very much, the volume got turned down a little bit and they were, there's less energy. And then I think that's the other thing too, is as the kids continue to get older, they rely on us less and less, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, now my daughter is 100% self-sufficient. Yep. She has her own money, has her own car. She can leave when she wants, go get food, doesn't need to eat my our cooking. And my son is right behind her. In fact, if he had his own car, he'd be, but he's like very self-sufficient, cooks himself, comes down and eats when he wants. He streams on Twitch, so he makes a little bit of cash.
Cool.
He's 15, so he doesn't need much.
Right.
So the fact that he's able to, I feel like door dashing, or I feel like buying a video game, like he can do that,
Yeah.
It makes it even more difficult to vlog.
Absolutely.
And because I hate when I say this because it sounds bad, but like we don't do anything. Like we're very much a very normal, basic family.
Yeah.
Don't really have a lot of like hobbies, to be honest. Like I video games are my thing of pastime.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I get to also do it as a job. But like I used to ride dirt bikes. I still have one, but my dad has it right now, and he, like I said, he races it from time to time.
Yeah.
And my kids never got into it. And I don't have any friends that ride, so I'm not really into anything like golf or
rebuilding
rock climbing,
a car engine or something like that.
Yeah, I don't really have any hobbies. I've always been into movies. I still love to hit the couch and pull up one of the mini streaming services and watch a movie. I tend to watch more movies than TV shows, so I'm very behind on TV shows.
Yeah.
But I love movies and
all-time favorite movie.
Right off the top of my head, I got The Matrix, the original Matrix. It's iconic for me. It's my first DVD that I bought, and it culminates everything that I love about movies. Like for me, I love action, and I do love sci-fi. But if it's got like, kung fu, gunfights, some kind of sci-fi element to it, aliens, fantasy, I need something like that, right? That's definitely my go-to stuff.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, so after vlogging, now we talk, streaming. Now, some of these questions, some of the questions I was going to ask you, you've already lived through some of those high points on YouTube gaming, like, that first time somebody came in to chat with you. What was that? What's that like? You have a stranger, but because you've sort of lived it through YouTube, Twitch, you just sort of transferred over. You had that base already there.
Yeah, that's something I have to remind people is I didn't start at zero.
Right.
Even when I started YouTube and really started doing YouTube, I didn't start from zero because I had done my work. You go back to my channel, the oldest videos on that channel from 2006 are my movie trailers, music videos, commercials, that sort of thing. So, you can very much see the evolution. But yeah, when I transitioned from YouTube gaming to Twitch, granted, my viewership absolutely tanks, right?
Yeah.
At the time I was streaming Destiny, and because live streaming was new and they were promoting it, this is actually when they promoted live streams. When I would stream Destiny, I was the #1 search result on YouTube, period.
Yeah.
If you search for Destiny, my live stream would be the first result. And it would say that I was live. So, of course, people were like, oh, wait, there's live streams on YouTube? What? Click. And so I would stream to YouTube. I'd have 300, 400 viewers easily, right?
Yeah.
On a slow day, maybe 150.
Yeah.
But my average was like 200 to 300.
Yeah.
On the big launch days when like a new expansion came out or Iron Banner, which came around about once a month, my viewership would skyrocket. And to this day, my most natural, organic, no promotion, no raids, no nothing.
Yeah.
The launch of Destiny Rise of Iron, which was the third expansion of Destiny 1, the final one before Destiny 2 launched, I organically had over 1,800 viewers.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that was just a one-time thing. After the fact, it went to like 500, and then I averaged about 300 or so. But the way YouTube works, and even to this day with YouTube content, If I played any other game, I would not get any of the algorithm love, no recommendations, and any of my subscriber base, same thing, right? So if I streamed Call of Duty or Overwatch or whatever, my viewership would be down below 100. I'd be around 30, 40, 50. Unless I played like GTA or Minecraft, which are obviously still very popular on YouTube, because that's how it's all about algorithm.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how, I never started from zero. So when I decided to make the jump from YouTube to Twitch, I'll let everybody know. And in fact, I even started kind of dabbling. I would do split streams. I would do like 4 or 5 hours on YouTube and then do my last hour on Twitch.
Yeah.
And then it went from 50-50. Then it was an hour on YouTube to, 4 or 5 hours on Twitch. And to kind of get a feel for who would come over, what my numbers were like.
Yeah.
And then when I got the partnership with Twitch and I made the big announcement that I jumped, I think I started off around 30 to 40 viewers, which was what I was getting if I didn't play Destiny. So I was like, well, that's not horrible. To me, that tells me that is real numbers.
Right. Yeah.
And the inflation that I got on YouTube was the algorithm and people getting pushed to me my video, which in YouTube sense, that's exactly what happens today, right? You get recommended a video, you open it up, you watch it for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or a little bit. And then you're like, either I'm going to watch this full video because it's actually something I want to watch, or I leave. And that's what was happening. The churn that was happening on YouTube live streams for the same thing. The view count would be like doing this because it's like got recommended. A bunch of people clicked on it.
Right.
This is cool, but I'm not here to watch the live stream. I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And now, speaking of Twitch and being rated, what were some of the big raids that somebody did to you? Like, you ever get like a 10,000 drop in on you and like, holy crap, what do I do?
I don't know the biggest number.
Yeah.
But I can tell you the biggest streamers, King Gathalion, who just recently came back to Twitch.
Yeah.
He started on Twitch, built his career there. He was one of the guys that moved over to Mixer with like Ninja and Shroud.
Yeah.
And then when Mixer closed up, he was one of the ones that went to Facebook. A lot of guys went back to Twitch. He took the Facebook deal. Very smart. Honestly, he took the money and he did his time. He did his 2 years on Facebook. And hearing the conversation, hearing the story, which I'm actually excited to listen to the full story. He was on another podcast. And I plan on listening to that this weekend. But just talking to him as a personal friend, the culture is not there on Facebook, right? Like Facebook is a platform for everything and all things. Gaming is just one little sliver. And so he'd be gaming and he talking about a video game from his childhood, and everyone's just like, it's crickets. No one's got any insight because they're not gamers, right? They're not. It's not like they're there looking for video games. They're there at work listening to someone talk and hang out, right?
Yeah.
And so the culture is very different on Twitch. So anyway, he just came back to Twitch. And he was one of the big guys that rated me, with thousands of viewers.
Yeah.
Dr. Lupo, most recently when he was on Twitch, some of the bigger raids that I'd gotten in recent years. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Real Crafty, who came from the Destiny scene, went to Fortnite and Apex Legends.
Yeah.
He had hit me a couple times. I've had some random guys I didn't really know that hit me with a couple hundred, like 400 or 500 person raids, from like the Tarkov community or Call of Duty or something like that, Destiny. Again, I came from the Destiny community and directory, so a lot of homies from that directory that would sit around the 400 or 500 mark that would raid me.
Yeah.
My average has always been around 100, give or take, up or down.
Yeah.
So, getting a 400 person raid still feels really awesome.
Yeah. And when you get those first, big ones, like, are you, does that still like excite you, or it's like, all right, yeah, cool. Welcome. Here's who I am.
I very much to this day, even after all these years, feed off of the energy of others.
Yeah.
So the more people that are there, the more people that I know are watching me, listening to me, it actually fires me up.
Yeah.
I got a raid just the other day from OnePeg. Yeah. And I think I was sitting around like 90 viewers. He hits me with like a 400 person viewer raid. Chat starts moving a lot faster, and now all of a sudden I'm like on my game, right? Like I'm actually on my game because I have people to talk to. I can rapid fire answer questions. Like, I hate when it's slow because it's like, as much as I'm enjoying playing the video game, again, the component of streaming is people to talk to while I'm gaming.
Right.
And I'll say this, I'm spoiled. Again, I've always had people to talk to. I've never had an empty chat. Now, the only time that I have today that I have an empty chat is if I go later in the afternoon, because I'm more of a morning streamer, right? I stream when my kids go to school. So I start my day around 8, 9 a.m. when I push into the 6-7 o'clock time frame, that's when chat dies, because my community has all moved on to I'm at home, family time, game time, my own stream time. Even though there's millions of people watching streamers at that time, I'm not an afternoon primetime streamer. I'm not a nighttime streamer, right? If I do a night stream, my viewership is way less than it would be during the day. Yeah. And I think people don't understand that sometimes. They're like, wait a minute, how come your viewers are so low? It's like, well, I'm streaming at 9 p.m. when I normally stream at 9 a.m. So all my regulars and all my community are all off doing their own thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I feed off of the energy of others. I love streaming. I'm 40 years old, and I could very easily, if I could continue to do this for another 10 or 15 years. Yeah. Where I have a lot of friends are looking to get out of streaming, right? Yeah. They have a 2-year plan, build a business, make some other revenue, and then get out of streaming. I'd love that, but realistically, I could continue to stream and do exactly what I'm doing for the next 10 years easily, because I do love it. I really, really do. Yeah. So much so that I've let other parts of my business kind of fall off. Like I said, I don't vlog nearly as much as I used to. Yeah. I'm not making TikToks and reels like I should be. I'm not utilizing my gaming channel like I should be, because I honestly, if I had it my way, I would be live for 12 hours a day, every day, and that would be my life. Yeah. Like, I love my wife and kids, but if they were not here, if they all went on a trip for a week, you bet your ass I'd be in this room ordering DoorDash, streaming 16 hours a day, going for Kappa. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I've always balanced family life and stuff. Granted, when I was vlogging, it was easy. My life was my content. I'm vlogging all the time. I edit first thing in the morning before I start my day. Vlog goes up, start my day. Yeah. When I shifted to streaming, again, I put it into a time frame of like, okay, kids are off to school. Yeah. I'm going to go stream. I'll be off when the kids get home from school. They play sports, so I'm there for all their games. Yeah. The only time I'd miss something is if I had like a prior engagement, like I had to schedule a podcast, or I have a sponsorship thing, or if I was traveling for conferences or some, brand deals, stuff like that. I've always put my family first. I always stream Monday through Friday, and I don't stream on weekends because kids are off on the weekends. Kids have sports on the weekends. Been fortunate enough that my wife has not had to work for 7 years. She just now finally, kids are older. She's just got bored, and she's like, I want to do something, but I don't want to be stuck to a schedule and work on weekends and nights. And I was like, she ended up doing Instacart. She loves it. Nice. She loves it because she gets to go grocery shopping for other people, right? Yeah, and deliver groceries, and she loves it. Oh, good. And so, she just is doing that just to pass the time because she's just like, I'm bored. And now she's making her own money. She's like, ooh, look at me. I made so much money today. It's like, cool, go shopping, whatever. But it's one of those things where like I've always put myself in that kind of like, this is my job, this is my career. I take it very serious. So I always put myself in that structured time frame. Yeah. But like I said, on a personal level, if I could, I would stream way more. I'd stream all the time because I do love it. I don't get burned out. I don't, don't get me wrong. I get my batteries recharged on the weekends by taking the 2 days off. I love spending time with my wife and my kids, and we have a great time just doing, very little. Mm-hmm. But I come back Monday and I am pumped for Monday's stream. I am so ready to go. I'm like one of those like, Monday, let's go. And everyone's like, shut the fuck up. Like, I hate Mondays. Screw you. Yeah. So I try to ride that energy though. I'm like, hey, I know you're not loving your Monday because you're probably back to work at your cube, but hey, I'm here for you. Let's vibe out. Let's jam out. Let's have some fun. Let's do some music, blah, blah, blah. That's me.
Excellent. So you definitely have a different path and a different view on things than, the people who are, just starting or have been doing this for a couple of years. From a streaming standpoint, what's the toughest thing in your opinion about doing what you do?
The toughest thing is and this is the thing that everyone has a tough time with is growing, right? Like how do you grow on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, right? Like all of these platforms, Twitter, Facebook, everything, all of them have an algorithm. Okay. Even Twitch. I know people love to talk crap about Twitch and how the discoverability sucks. Yeah. But the reality is they have done leaps and bounds to promote every type of creator on the platform. The thing that people don't realize is there are literally millions of people streaming right now. Yeah. Millions, right? Hundreds of thousands, whatever. Right. But you get my point. There are hundreds of thousands of people streaming right now. There are only so many spots on the Twitch homepage. There's only so many spots on the Twitch app.
Yeah.
It is impossible to promote everyone. And to be fair, everyone gets a chance. Everyone gets a shot. If you look at your analytics, I guarantee you at some point in the last 6 months, you'll have a little smidge that says recommended views, recommended channels, right? You got some viewership because you were recommended. But because you only had one viewer or 3 viewers, it was short-lived, right? Or your 1 second of fame didn't get enough clicks, so they moved on to the next person.
Right.
But yeah, discoverability and growing, because again, I just want to stream, right? Been doing this for so long, I don't want to end my stream and then go spend another 3 hours grabbing clips and making highlights and doing this and doing that. And, and granted, I've been close a couple times on hiring an editor.
Yeah.
But it's so stupid, but I feel like dumb paying somebody to do something that I should be doing.
Yeah.
But I have to slap myself in the face and be like, yeah, but you're not doing it. So pay someone else to do it because it's worth it. Right. And so it's one of those like catch-22s. And, I kind of joked about my wife. I was like, oh, hey, so since you're making money now, I can hire an editor. I just take your money and pay for an editor.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's the biggest thing is like, just as someone who just streams, right? I just want to stream. I'm not really doing much with any other content other than my vlogs. Yeah. It's hard to grow, I'll admit 5 years as a Twitch partner, 2 years with YouTube gaming before that. And, I still only average about 100 viewers. And you would have asked me 3 years ago, 4 years ago, like, oh yeah, but 5 years from now, I'll be at 1,000 easy. Like no problem. Right. Yeah. Like there's this illusion that you see this growth and like my YouTube career, you just assume it's going to continue to grow. It's never going to stop. Why would it stop? It's going to keep going.
Yeah.
But there's 1,000 variables in the way. And the fact that we're on someone else's platform, right?
Right.
If tomorrow Twitch changed their algorithm, changed how things are just like YouTube, I might find myself with half as many viewers. Yeah. Or I might find myself being, getting blown up. It's all about right place, right time. Yeah. When it comes to these platforms and, paying attention to your analytics, because if you find something that works, stick with it, repeat it.
Yeah.
Don't just keep bouncing around. If something's working, you got to stick with it. And that's unfortunate though, because sometimes especially if it's like a video game, you might be done with the game. You might be burned out on the game. You're like, I don't want to play this game. Right. Yeah. I know hundreds of creators that played Fortnite way longer than they wanted to because they had to. Yeah. They had to. It was the only way they were getting the views and the subs and making the revenue and getting the brand deals was because their viewership was there for Fortnite. Yeah. And, Dr. Lupo, I would say, is one of the most successful people that pivoted from Fortnite. They took that viewership and that growth from Fortnite, pivoted into Tarkov. Yeah. And then from there, pivoted into going to YouTube, right, and all the other deals and investments that he's made, but I guarantee if you talk to him offline, he's going to tell you, yeah, I played Fortnite way longer than I wanted to. It burned my soul, Yeah. It's one of it's just because it wears on you to play that many hours for that long with the level of toxicity that comes with that type of viewership and that type of community. Yeah. You'll hear that in a lot of communities, Call of Duty, Destiny even, Yeah. So
yeah, you don't want to be that streamer that's online who's miserable playing, because people are going to go find somebody else. Why do I want to watch somebody who's miserable? Go, there's 5 other pages of people to watch who are enjoying what they're doing.
Exactly. Now, that's the best advice I give people all the time when they say they want to start a YouTube channel or they want to start streaming. My number one piece of advice is do it because you love it. Yeah. Do something that you love. Do something that you're passionate about. If it's YouTube, it needs to be about a topic that you could literally talk about every day of your life and never get tired of it. Yeah. Right. Either because you're super knowledgeable and you know all about every little nook and cranny and every nuance of it, or if it's something that you're super into and every waking minute of your life you are reading, watching, writing, consuming about that topic. Yeah. And you're sharing that on your channel. Right. There's a sense of passion and there's a sense of like, this person knows what's up. This person really knows what he's talking about or really loves what he's talking about. And that connects you to that audience.
Yeah. Now, actually, I'm glad you joined me, because there's often I have this conversation with the content creators about, first of all, being in America, health insurance, sick days, vacation days, you don't get those as a content creator. You've been doing this for a while. You've, not sure how you did without the health insurance, if you had a health insurance, but would you look to maybe the platforms themselves, or, software makers, to have some sort of a parachute or package there to offer people, like, you can't do this 6 days a week and not need even the mental health day, or you're sick. You need something there. If you're a Twitch partner, maybe you get a bank of hours or something like that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's something that does bother me from time to time. I was a big believer in 401ks when I was in the corporate world.
Yeah.
As soon as I got access to it, I did the maximum amount that they would match. Plan for retirement early. It just, you get it taken out of your paycheck. You don't even realize it's being taken out. Right.
Right.
When I quit my job and went full time here, again, my thoughts were, my money is exponentially growing. I'll be fine. I'll get to a point where I'm making way more than my bills, and I'll just put that away and invest it. Right.
Yeah.
So when the nutty went down and I went back down to roughly, I still make more than I was making when I was working in corporate America, but to the point where it was like, my wife's not working. Right. So the money kind of just, it all works out. I have not put in as much investing as I would like. And now that I've hit 40, it's got the reality to me where it's like, okay, we need to start figuring out what we're doing here, because this job is like a salesman's job, right? Every month you don't know what you're going to make. There is no consistent income. Even on the subs with Twitch, sure, if you've gotten to a certain point where like every month you are making more than you are spending, cool. Yeah. Now you're building up that savings account and you have extra money to play with. It was one of those things where like I did put a lot away and then did invest it. Yeah. I just don't have that liquid cash, right? And I'm not continuing to invest. It's like, I have a good month, cool, here's a couple thousand. Right. Next month, can't do that. 2 months later, oh, cool, here's 500, here's 1,000. So it's one of those things where having healthcare, having 401k, having paid vacation days, I know some of those things exist with like certain what are those called? Like agencies, right? Yes, like if you're a big enough streamer, you're paying them for brand deals, you're paying them for whatever. They give you those types of features and those types of benefits. But for the average Joe, like I said, I call myself a blue collar streamer. Yeah. None of that exists. If I take a day off, I hope that you come back when I come back. And and I have. There's been times where I've taken off a week here, or once upon a time for traveling with the trailer. I vlogged. But for the streams, I was gone for almost 2 weeks, and it's like, that hurts your numbers. It hurts when you're gone for because people make new routines. Right now, the routine is to be at my channel at 10 o'clock and watch me play this game. Yeah. But if I'm gone for 2 weeks, they're gonna go find someone else to watch at 10 o'clock. Right. And if they happen to find new camaraderie and new community, and there's this new sense of excitement, well, I'm not gonna hang out with them even when I come back. Right. Yeah. Hey, welcome back, Clint. And then back to the new home base. Right. Yeah. So I kind of wish there was, but at the same time, like being an adult, I understand how contract work works, right? I'm a contractor. I'm just being contracted to stream and do this thing, and everything else is on me. Yep. So now another thing that's interesting, well, not interesting, but you were involved with is GCX. Mm-hmm. What is GCX for people that don't know? First of all, so GCX is the Gaming Community Expo. It originally came from the Destiny community. I didn't know that. 3 Destiny, well, I guess technically they were all streamers, but 2 were streamers and 1 was kind of a third party fan, viewer, friend. Yeah. They got together at a bar as a kind of like hey, a couple of streamers in Florida are going to get together for some beers and appetizers and kind of like let their communities know, hey, we're having this little meet and greet. And I forget the exact number. I'm just going to throw this out there. I think close to 1,000 people showed up from these like 4 or 5 streamer, 6 community members. And the bar just got packed, right? Yeah. And one of the guys was like an event coordinator. And so he was like, do you guys got something going on here with this? These are your fans? Like, what if we actually did some promotion? And so they rented out some space and they did the Destiny Community Con, one year, and I don't know the exact numbers that showed up, but it was a good amount of people. I went out that year because that's the year that I discovered all these guys and Twitch streamers and stuff like that. I was still on YouTube at the time, and so it was a Destiny community. I think it was Destiny Con, and then it was Destiny Community Con, and then they changed the name. They dropped Destiny. Bungie supported them, but they're like, yeah, you can't really use the name anymore.
Right.
They changed it to Guardian Con, and so it was Guardian Con for a couple of years. And then when they got bigger and bigger and got more notoriety, they wanted to start bringing other developers and other games. They didn't want it just to be a Destiny conference. But a lot of people had a hard time, signing up and paying to go to a Destiny convention when, Gearbox makes Borderlands, right?
Right, yeah.
So then they changed the name to GCX, and that's kind of just a quick, dirty history. There's a lot more detail there, but that's how it started. So it's a gaming conference out of Florida.
Yeah.
That is directly tied to raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and it started off as a Twitch charity marathon where it would start off on one of the lead guys, King Gathalion, and then he would raid the next channel, and then they would go for 4 hours, and they would raid the next channel. It would be a 24-hour marathon for 7 days leading up to the event.
Yeah.
And it's since grown. They have multiple events, not just the one charity marathon. Dr. Lupo is now on the board.
Yeah.
And so he's very involved with raising money for them. They do Facebook and at the time Mixer, marathons as well. And so it's a gaming conference. Literally the hashtag gaming does good was kind of created around that conference.
Yeah.
And like I said, they raise a crazy amount of money for St. Jude. And so because I'm friends with a lot of these guys that started it, and I've been going to every single one since its inception. The last 2 years, I've always been involved with charity and raising money for St. Jude since I could.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, I actually got invited to be part of the marathon. So big honor to actually be on their channel. As the way they do it now is we stream to the GCX channel.
Yeah. And
so that way it's all on one channel versus going from channel to channel to channel. Everyone just stays on the one channel. So.
And you've done this for a couple of years, and this year you did your 4-hour stream and raised a bunch of money for St. Jude's, which is so awesome.
Yeah. That's why the hair is colored. My $15,000 goal was to color my hair top donor's choice, so they got to pick the color. So originally it was green. The green washed out and faded out, and it was just like a bleach blonde. And my daughter actually dyed my hair blue, just for fun. She's like, I got some blue dye. I'll play around with it. I'm like, oh, whatever. I was watching Stranger Things. She let her do her thing.
Nice. And then I also saw pictures of you in a romper.
Yes. What? So GCX. God, what year was that? 2018. 2018. There was a joke. There was a running meme from the founders of GCX that if they raised enough money on their block or whatever, they would do a Men of Destiny romper calendar.
Oh my God.
That was the running joke. Of course, it never happened, and it was always just a joke that was going to happen. I decided to show up to GCX with a romper and kind of lean into that. Yeah. So they're recording their podcast, and I come walking down the aisle with a microphone. I knew the security, so they gave me a microphone. Yeah. And I come walking down the middle aisle, and they just kind of stop their podcast and they're like, can we recognize this beautiful man walking down the aisle? And I'm like, I'm here for a photo shoot. I guess I'm the only one who got the memo. It was awesome, right? So that was 2018. I wore the romper for a day, and it was all fun and games. Well, then 2019 moves around. Everyone's like, where's the romper, dude? Where's the romper? I'm like, that was just a one-time thing. So fast forward now 2 years later, because there wasn't an event 2 years in a row. I put it on as a charity milestone, saying, hey, if we raise this much money, I think it was $7,500, I'll wear a romper every day at GCX. Nice. And of course, they crushed that goal. Yeah. And so I brought the original from the first year, and then I bought 2 new ones, and I wore a romper all 3 days.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
They're surprisingly more comfortable than you think, and not as hot as you think. Yeah. I mean, I was in Florida. And I mean, it's shorts and a t-shirt. It's a one-piece onesie, but it was not hot at all.
That is awesome. Now, any other charities?
I think I may have cornered myself into being the romper guy now, because everyone's like, you got to do this every year. So now I'm like, I might have to just wear a romper every year to GCX now.
Now, are there any other charity organizations that you're part of that you want to recognize?
Yep. Yep. The other charity that I work with is Gamers Outreach. They do a charity event in March every year called Gamers for Giving. Now, originally, they're based out of Michigan, and so they have a giant LAN party at I think it's the University of Michigan or Michigan State, whichever. It's one of the two big colleges out there. They let them use their arena, and they set up tables and a stage and everything. And people will come from miles away, bring their PCs and set up their setup, and will live stream from the event, raising money for charity. And they reached out to me in 2019. I think it was 2019. And they actually flew out a bunch of streamers, and we had a little like streamer corral.
Oh, nice.
And they were, filming it and streaming it, and we're there raising money and doing all kinds of crazy incentives to raise money for charity. And so that was like my first like charity event. And these gaming cards, I'm sorry. So Gamers Outreach, they make gaming cards. That's what they do. So you're raising money, and they build these gaming cards that are in hospitals where kids are treated. So either they're getting their treatments, or they're there for long-term care, post-op or something like that. And so that's what Gamers Outreach does. So these gaming cards, I don't know if they cost the same now, but they used to cost about $3,500 to make one, right? That includes the monitor, the stand, the whole thing, and then of course the PlayStation or Xbox that's inside there. And so when I get there, I'm thinking like, okay, I'd love to raise enough money for one card. So my goal was $3,500. My community came out of nowhere, and we raised $3,500 in like 3 hours.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm here for 2 days, you guys. Like, okay, let's go for 7,000. Let's go for 2 gaming cards. And so day one, I think we ended around 5,500 or 5,000, and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. Day two, I go streaming again, and we hit that $7,500 goal, and I think we got close to like $8,000. I'm like, are we going for 3? Like, are we going with 3? Like the event was over, but I came home, and part of the goals, right? One of the goals was to, because I only had the $3,500 milestone. I didn't think we were going to keep going, so I made a $7,000 milestone. I made a $10,500 milestone, and so I dyed my hair. That was one of the milestones. It was like, okay, for $7,500, I'll dye my hair, and so I did like this neon blue. Well, I streamed me dyeing my hair, and through the donation link, I said, donations are still going, guys. If we hit the 10.5, then I'll buzz it off. My wife hates my hair buzzed off, so I'm like, I'll buzz it all off. And so while we were streaming that, we hit that $10,500 goal, and I was like, okay, I just dyed my hair, but I guess I'm going to buzz it off now. And so that was epic. That was the first year we went over 10,500. We raised enough for 3 carts. And I've been with obviously with the pandemic, we just did the charity remotely. And so even this last year, we did it remotely. And I don't know if they're going to ever go back to the physical location. It's just times have changed with everything. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper just to be remote. But we've raised enough for, I want to say it's either 14 or this year made 17. For some reason, those two numbers are sticking in my head. I don't know if we just hit 14 or it was 14 and this year makes it 17. But we basically, Phoenix Children's Hospital here, one of the biggest, most renowned children's hospitals in America, has, like I said, 14 or so carts directly donated from my community.
That's awesome.
And I've wanted to go to the hospital and actually play games with kids, and a lot of people do that with St. Jude. I visited St. Jude one year as well, but it was my first time, so we didn't get to do the playing the games. But I've always wanted to do that because, again, being a dad, being a father, like I couldn't imagine my kids, needing long-term care or something like that. So I love that cause that they're able to give gaming to kids because at this point, all kids love video games, whether they have them or not. They love playing them. So
that's good of you. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Well, we're wrapping up here. I really appreciate all the time you've given me today. But we got to talk a little Tarkov. How did you find this game?
So when the game was announced, I think I was still elbow deep into Destiny. Played a little Call of Duty here and there. I think maybe I was playing some PUBG. It might have been the summer of PUBG. And a friend of mine sent me the trailer, and he goes, "It's supposed to be this crazy first-person shooter that has all these other things." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds awesome. Let me know when it comes out." Because I don't pay attention to game launches. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. It's like whatever, right? So Christmas of 2016. I remember seeing some stuff about the game on Twitter, and I think I tweeted BSG.
Yeah.
And I said something like, checking out Tarkov, or Tarkov looks cool. Here's a trailer, whatever. They DM'd me. The BSG account DM'd me and said, hey, thanks for your interest in Tarkov. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, I got some friends playing it and it looks cool, this and that. I'm gonna check it out. And they go, have you purchased it yet? And I said, no, not yet. It's in beta, right? And they're like, yeah, it's closed beta right now. It's gonna be open beta soon. Have you got one yet? Have you got a copy? I said, no, like, we'd like to give you a copy.
Oh no.
So they gave me the $100 version, right?
Yeah.
So the one right below EOD. And I remember logging in. This was like right around Christmas. I logged in, I played for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Absolutely fell in love with the game. And I paid for the EOD. I paid the extra 40 whatever dollars for EOD, reset my account. And come the 1st of 2017, January, I hit the ground running in Tarkov. I remember DMing them going, oh my God, I love your game. Thank you so much for the code. I upgraded to EOD. If you ever guys come up with a creator program, I'm 100% want to be involved with the creator program.
Yeah.
And I played it for, probably about a month or so solid, but of course went back to Destiny. Every time the new season would start, new content in Destiny, I'd always go back to Destiny. New Call of Duty come out, I'd go play Call of Duty. So I've been playing off and on since 2016.
Yeah.
But it was never my main game until just like a year ago.
Yeah.
It was over a year ago. Yeah. So this last December, a year ago, that wipe.
Yeah.
I remember telling my community, because every time there was a wipe, new content, I would jump in, play for like a month, and then back to home base, whatever home base was, right?
Right.
And I remember telling my community, they're like, hey, are you going to play this next wipe in Destiny in Tarkov? And I was like, yes, but this time I'm going to go hard. This time I'm actually going to play the game and really try to flesh it out and and make it through the content, right? Because you start off with that pocket watch and you start off killing scavs with AKSs and it's like it was always the same old. And I was one of those early ones like, oh, this sucks, man. I don't want to play the same shit over again.
Right.
So that last wipe, Reserve, I think it was the year that Reserve came out.
Yeah.
That was the year that I kind of got into it and got hard into Tarkov. And that's also when I started paying attention to who streams it, who's in the directory. And I remember when this was I guess it would have been around the time that when I got into the game. I remember streaming that game at night when my kids and wife were in bed. And, I'd be in the top 5 of the directory with like 200 viewers. Yeah. Right. Like that's how small the game was, how small the directory was. Little old me with 100 viewers would quickly grow to 250 because I was in like the top 5.
Right.
And in some cases, top 2 because enough of viewers gravitated towards my stream. Yeah. And I wasn't a complete noob at it. Right. And so always one of those hindsights, like, man, imagine if I would have kept playing the game full time, where's my streamer item, Right. Yeah. But no, it was always a game that I fully loved and enjoyed, but I always went back to the comfort zone of Destiny or Call of Duty or PUBG or whatever game I was playing at the time. Cool. So now it's my full game, my full time. I love it. It's my main game. Yeah, I love it. I really don't play Destiny much these days. I still dabble in other games, like I'll tell you right now, what I have installed right now. I got Destiny, I got Tarkov. I do love Magic the Gathering Arena, though I just don't stream anymore because very different communities and games. I love a good survival game called Icarus. Yeah, it's a session-based survival game, very much like Tarkov, where every time you load in, it's a fresh raid, fresh wipe. Yeah. And so you load in, you have to build up your base, survive, gather, and then go do the mission, and then go back up to space, turn in your quest, gather your money. Buy new equipment, go back down. Okay. I love that game. Oh, cool. But the only other game that's really on my radar that I'm looking forward to is Dystera. Okay. It is a sci-fi Rust. Oh. It is very much a Rust competitor, but it's in a sci-fi world. And it's very early stages right now. I played the beta. It's open right now. You can technically go into and play the demo, but it needs some more work. It needs some more time in the oven. But I'll keep my eyes on that for sure.
Cool. All right. So now, are there any other content creators that people should check out that you like to watch?
The list is very long. I know you've already brought on some of my friends and colleagues recently. I'm trying to think of maybe someone. That's so hard to pick and choose. I mean, there's so many. I guess it depends on. I'm assuming you want Tarkov specifically.
No, I'm first of all, anyone people should check out, and then we'll get to the last question of the pod here. So, are there people out there that people you like to watch that people should check out?
I mean, I pull up my follow list. Obviously, majority of it right now is Tarkov streamers.
Yeah.
And I watch everyone from the big guys at the top, like, Willard, Landmark, and Trey, Lupo, all the way down to, some friends of mine like Crazen, the Confusion, that play the game, either full time or passively, or they have a full time job and play it in the evenings.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it really comes down to, I can recommend streamers, but everyone has their own flavors and tastes.
Yeah.
And same thing goes with the big guys, right? Like some people like Shroud, some people like Summit, some people like, Timthetatman, and some people like Dr. Disrespect. Like there's very much a variety of like what it is you're looking for. Are you looking for high-end gameplay where you like, I don't care if the streamer talks? Because I've got called out for like talking too much. Like you talk too much, just play the game. It's like, I'm that kind of streamer. Like I like talking to my chat.
Yeah.
Or are you looking for more of a community-based streamer who is talking to their chat and engaging, and they'll pause their game or die? I've died so many times talking to my chat because I'm just not paying attention to what's on screen.
Yeah, you're right. You are right. You have the head cracking streamer who is just people are there to watch the content, like watch him, basically dominate the map. You have the storyteller, and then you have the person who just is there for their community, and that back and forth. That's what they love.
I would say, just real quick off the top of my head, some streamers to check out. Rock Mom, fantastic. She's a Tarkov streamer. Plays a lot with a variety of different people. A good friend of mine who's a main Warzone streamer. His name is Dot_CR. He's hilarious. He's funny. He's an older guy like me. But he puts the hours in. He's really good. But like he's like very loud, over the top. So it's one of those, like, you got to be in the mood for his energy, because his energy is always like up here. He's a yeller, he's a screamer, and it's his shtick, right? It's his thing, and it's hilarious. It's so, his energy's amazing.
Yeah, cool. All right, so you survived the podcast, and now I'm asking you to throw somebody under the bus who I should reach out to, and it doesn't mean a Tarkov streamer. It could be Fortnite, Destiny, somebody who you think has a good story to tell.
Oh, good story to tell. I honestly would love to hear more about Mr. Meme, Mr. Meme's story. And I almost feel like I should know who you've had on the podcast. I don't want to just suggest that you've already had on the podcast.
I have not had Mr. Memes. I have to go find him and check him out and reach out.
Mr. Meme he's a Tarkov streamer. We played pretty much the first like week or two of the wipe together. He's a father. He's got a baby on the way.
Oh, nice.
Great guy, friendly, great at the game. Great guy just to hang out with. Like I said, I've really enjoyed just being in Discord and playing games with him. Cool. That's who I would have you reach out to, for sure.
All right, Mr. Memes, I'm coming for you. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much. I really can't thank you enough for the time you spent and sharing your stories, your advice, and your opinions. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on.